Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kindness 101. My name's Steve Hartman, this is my co-teacher and daughter Meryl, and behind the camera, my son Emmett. So let's start today by addressing the elephant in the room, which ironically is not the elephant in the room. That's just a stuffy that I put there because it's one of Emmett's favorites. The elephant in the room is actually the cantaloupe. Why do we have a cantaloupe there?
Oh!
Remember?
Yes.
If you're wondering why I have a cantaloupe, you have to go back to the last class about gratitude and watch that after you've watched this one. That'll explain why we have a cantaloupe here today and why we may have a toaster here next week, right?
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
I finally got it. Yeah. Maybe we can bake some toast.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be good. You can find all our old episodes by going to the Steve Hartman Facebook page and scrolling through there, or you can go to cbsnews.com/kindness101. Interesting thing about a slash, it's still not a backslash. It's still not a backslash. The only way to get a backslash is like that. Isn't that weird? That was a digression, wasn't it? Sorry about that.
Slash.
Or if you don't want to mess with any slashes, just search Kindness 101 and it'll magically pop up there. Today's lesson is about, Meryl, honesty. Meryl?
What?
Are you always honest?
Mostly?
Mostly, but not always, right?
No, not always.
Do you remember when I set 3 Rolos on a plate and told you they were there and said you could go into the kitchen? But I said, only take 2 of them and put 1 of them back in the drawer. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Remember that? Well, I had a hidden camera set up. So here we see the Rolos on the plate, those little gold things. Oh, here comes Meryl. I told her to put 1 in the drawer and you did. Nobody was watching. Look at that. I knew you would do that.
Yeah, right.
I did! That's why I set this up. What would you have done, Emmett? If it was red licorice.
I would have eaten them all.
Okay, so let's turn around here. Why didn't you just eat all 3 Rolos?
I wanted to be honest.
You know what that's called?
What?
Integrity. I haven't always been quite so honest. I want to tell you a quick story. When I was a kid, one time I was coming home from school and I noticed that I did not eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I knew my mom would be disappointed. So I took the peanut butter and jelly sandwich out of my lunchbox right before I went in the door and I hid it in a bush. And I went inside and my mom asked me, "Did you eat your peanut butter and jelly sandwich today?" I said, "Of course I did, Mom." She goes, "Okay, run upstairs, wash your hands, come back down." So I did. I came back down. She goes, "Are you sure you ate your peanut butter and jelly sandwich?" I said, "Yes, Mom." She said, "Open up your lunchbox." And I did. And the peanut butter and jelly sandwich was back in my lunchbox. My mom had snuck out, put it back in the lunchbox to teach me a lesson about honesty. It was very embarrassing. But I learned a lesson. You know, I read somewhere that average 6-year-olds lie once every hour.
That means that in this show, saying that show would be 15 minutes, she would have a 1 in 4 chance of being dishonest.
Okay, not what I was shooting for. I think what Emmett's trying to say is this is an area where we could all use a little improvement, right? That's why today I have assembled a list of 4 stories about people with really outstanding integrity, impeccable honesty. The first one is about a young girl who told the truth in a way few others ever would, and she was rewarded for her honesty. Take a look at this.
Of all the things a little girl can aspire to be, 11-year-old Charlotte McCourt of South Orange, New Jersey says the most important of these is to be truthful.
Yes, it's like a core feeling.
Why so important to you?
Because if you're not honest, then what are you?
Charlotte says the first 8 words of the Girl Scout law are, "I will do my best to be honest." So when it came time to peddle her Girl Scout cookies this year, she decided to tell her customers the whole truth. In this letter to one customer that went viral on the internet, she wrote, "The Girl Scout organization can sometimes use false advertisement." She then graded the cookies. She gave the Do-Si-Do a 5 for its unoriginal, bland flavor, while saving most of her venom for the dreaded Toffee-tastic. She gave it a 1 for being a bleak, flavorless, gluten-free wasteland. It's as flavorless as dirt, she wrote.
My sister and I threw out the box. Like, we tried everything. We tried dunking it in tea. We tried dunking it in hot chocolate. It is just gross.
Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
As you might expect, brutal honesty like that can have a dramatic impact on sales. Charlotte was hoping to sell 300 boxes this year.
Is that all?
But she got nowhere near that. Nowhere near.
That's you?
That is all me.
When we visited last week, she had already sold more than 23,000 boxes, a Girl Scout record.
How do you explain this?
Truth in advertising.
Apparently, honesty has become such an aberration.
See, look.
The truth so sadly missed that when all these people read Charlotte's letter, they felt compelled to support her.
I sold thousands of Samoas and thousands of Thin Mints
Have you sold any Toffee-tastics?
to my grandmother.
It was before Charlotte wrote the letter.
Just one box.
So then she gave them to her friend
Who has a dog?
who has a gluten allergy.
Okay.
So there is your hope, America, that honesty can and will prevail.
I can't think of a better role model for honesty than Charlotte McCourt. No lie. Which is why I've asked her to join us now. Hello, Charlotte.
Hello.
How old are you now?
I'm 15.
Have your feelings changed about the Toffee-tastic in all these years?
No. I mean, I haven't really tried it in a while, but
Have you ever tried giving a dog the Toffee-tastic?
no, I don't think that would go over well because I don't know if dogs can chew toffee.
Anything you remember about your parents teaching you about honesty?
Not anything specific. I just feel like it was everything they did was honest. Like, I've never really seen them lie like that. So I just feel like it's more of being a role model to me than like having specific moments.
What did being honest do for you as a person?
It really improved my entire life, really. Like, I feel that if you put good out into the world, good will come back to you. And I really felt that a lot of good came to me after being honest like that. And the more I am honest, the more good comes to me.
Is honesty always a best policy? Or are there exceptions? Like if your mom says, "Do you like my cooking?" and you really don't.
Like a white lie like that is okay. It's like honesty and kindness. You want to keep them in tandem. So if being honest isn't going to make you kind, then maybe it's not the best to be honest. And if being kind isn't going to make you honest, there's gray area. But for the most part, honesty and kindness do go in tandem. So keeping them together is really what works.
But there are some exceptions and you need to know those.
Yeah.
Like, Meryl, do you think I'm handsome?
Yes.
Do you think I'm the most handsome person in the world?
Yes.
She's got it, doesn't she?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. We are so impressed with you. We just think, and we're being honest about that. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Being honest really worked out well for Charlotte, but it doesn't always come with benefits. If it did, then no one would ever be dishonest, right? People lie sometimes because telling the truth is just plain hard. The truth might get you into trouble or might get someone else in trouble. That's when honesty requires bravery and courage. Our next story is about just that, a girl who had to tell a hard truth. Watch this.
In Buffalo, New York, Canisius College senior Andrew Sipowicz has a tale to tell that is truly unique. A heartwarming story about a hit and run. Yeah, he says it all began the day he discovered this dent in his Ford Mustang.
It was bashing him pretty good.
And then you saw the note.
Then I saw the note. I wasn't expecting that at all. That it came from a sixth grader.
Obviously, 11-year-old Zaira Griffin didn't make the dent, but she did make it better with the note she tucked under his windshield. It read, "If you're wondering what happened to your car, bus 449 hit your car. It stops here every day to drop me off. She hit and run. Sorry." Zaira closed with a sketch of the getaway vehicle. That's her in the back, aghast at what she'd just witnessed. As a result of her artistry and honesty, the bus driver was held accountable, and Andrew is now getting his car fixed.
I could have acted like it didn't happen, but I chose to do something about it. Because my mom always said, when you see somebody doing the wrong thing, you have to do the right thing.
But her mom, Takara, refuses to take all the credit. In fact, Takara admits she wasn't exactly supportive when her daughter started going all Dudley Do-Right that day.
You're thinking I want to get out of here.
Yes, I don't want anyone to think it was me.
I think that's why sometimes people don't say anything, because it's easier to just walk away.
My daughter taught me how to stay kind, stay compassionate, always knowing the right thing is always the right thing.
Hi.
Andrew says Zaira taught him that as well,
I'm Andrew.
which is why he just had to meet her.
I couldn't believe you left me that note. When I first saw my car, I was angry, and then I saw your note, and it changed my entire mood. To know that there's people out there with the type of integrity and honesty, it's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. So.
Yes.
Again, her mom credits nature over nurture. But she is clearly doing something right,
Very grateful.
because raising kids who stand up to injustice
Thank you guys so much.
is no accident.
You're welcome.
It would have certainly been a lot easier for Zaira to just pretend like she never saw anything. Bus accident? What bus accident? I never saw a bus accident. Did you see a bus accident? That would have been a lot easier for her, would. But in situations like that, staying quiet is really the same as lying. It's still dishonest. When you spot injustice, silence does not absolve you. If you see somebody damaging property or you see somebody getting bullied, honesty means stepping forward and telling the truth. It means having strong moral principles, like a superhero. There isn't a superhero out there who isn't honest all the time. Whether it's Superman, Wonder Woman, or the quiet cowboy you'll meet in our next story. Take a look at this.
28-year-old Robert Borba is one of the last of a kind. A real, honest-to-goodness, cow-roping cowboy.
Hash out.
Robert works at a ranch outside Eagle Point, Oregon. But we didn't come here to see his prowess in the cow corrals. We came here because of what he did recently amongst the cart corrals of this Walmart parking lot.
It happened so fast.
A few months ago, Robert says he moseyed over to the Walmart for some dog food. And on the way out, he heard a woman screaming.
Stop him, he stole my bike, And I kind of look around, and then all of a sudden this guy goes whizzing by me on a bicycle.
As the security cameras show, there was no way to catch him on foot. So the cowboy did what cowboys do. He saddled up to save the day, armed with little more than a lasso.
A couple swings, and then I threw it at him, just like I would a steer.
He had to be blown away, like, what is going on?
He's like, what are you doing, man? You got a badge? And I'm like, no, I ain't got a badge,
A lot of people were incredulous.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
We got a guy just stole a bike here at Walmart. I got him roped and tied to the tree.
What?
I got him roped from a horse. He's tied to a tree.
The cavalry arrived moments later, led by Eagle Point police officer Chris Adams.
I looked up, and from the horse, there was a rope connected to the ankle of a gentleman on the ground holding onto a tree.
So it's real.
It was real.
In fact, here's a picture. On the left, you can see the suspect on the ground, roped and tied like a steer headed for the pen. John Wayne couldn't have done it any better.
I'd take him by my side any day.
I told the cop, I said, man, you guys ought to pick up a rope and throw that gun away. You might have better luck with it. He started laughing.
What made you decide to take action in the first place?
I don't know. I just figured it was the right thing to do, If it was my wife or my little girl, I would hope somebody would help her if I wasn't around.
Heroes, like cowboys, are getting harder to find, especially modest ones like Robert, who want absolutely nothing in return. When it was over, police say all he asked for was his rope back, coiled it up, tipped his hat, and then rode off into the yellow logo sunset.
Again, it would have been a lot easier for Robert to just let that bike thief get away, but he clearly values his integrity. He knew if he didn't do the right thing, he would have gone to bed that night kicking himself under the covers. Honest people are like that. They can't stand the thought of not telling the truth, even if no one is watching. Even if no one is watching. That's a really important point. And that's the biggest challenge, being honest when no one is watching. What if you could cheat on a test, for example, and there was no way the teacher could see it? No way. Let's say, for example, the teacher was blind. Emmett?
It would definitely be a challenge not to just take the wide open opportunity and cheat on the test.
That would certainly be a temptation for a lot of people. Or would your conscience stop you? Think about that when you watch this last story.
There are still jobs blind people can't do, but the list has been steadily shrinking, thanks to trailblazers like Jim Hughes of Farmingdale, New York.
Coming through.
Jim's story began more than 20 years ago during a meeting with his college counselor.
And I said, listen, I'm interested in teaching. And she goes, oh, that's really nice.
Which blind school do you want to teach at?
Exactly. No, I want to teach in a public school.
Public high school?
She goes, no.
It wasn't bad advice. Remember, we didn't have all this assistive technology back then. And there weren't the laws mandating employers give people with disabilities a fair shot.
What do you mean?
Still, Jim sent out about 100 resumes.
I'll be honest and say this is the only real interview I got.
I came across that resume, and as I said, it took me by shock. How can a blind teacher possibly function in a classroom?
Steve Cusin was principal at the time.
And boy, am I glad that I took a second look at that resume, because it's made all the difference in the world to generations of students.
Has anyone seen images of soldiers coming home from Vietnam?
By all accounts, this history teacher has become one of the best teachers at Farmingdale High School.
It doesn't affect his teaching at all.
And not in spite of his blindness.
It almost helps him.
But because of it.
He became so good at verbalizing the information to the students.
In fact, the kids say it's their other teachers who can't always see.
They're blinded with the PowerPoints and the handouts and all that. Every teacher should try a day with a blindfold and really learn how to talk to your students.
Right. The other thing he's surprisingly good at is keeping them honest.
There's no cheating whatsoever.
What? He's too respected.
You respect him too much.
There'll be that rare kid, but they're shamed instantly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
See if you could find the thematic essays.
The class may be history, but these kids are getting their doctorates in integrity.
You know what? I think I put them right on top of here. That's what happened.
And Jim Hughes is getting all he ever wanted. A chance to make a difference.
The classroom is where I belong. I really believe that.
Pretty easy to see.
Nobody cheated in that class because there was a culture of honesty. There were enough kids in that group that said, we are not going to take advantage of this man. We value our integrity more than anything. And that's the culture I want to create in this class here. It may be a steep climb. Great integrity is like a distant mountain. It's really hard to get there, but it's easy to take one step closer. And that's all I ask from you, and from myself. I haven't always been the most honest person myself. And it wasn't just that peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the bush thing. There was one time when I actually took something from a store as a kid. And years later, I wrote a letter to the store, and I sent them money to cover what I'd stolen. I did that not because I thought I'd get caught, but because I wanted to take one step closer to the mountain. I've got a homework assignment for you now. It's going to be a hard one. In fact, I'd be happy if you just thought about this homework assignment. Think of a time that you were dishonest and start to wonder if maybe you can fix it. It's not too late. It's never too late. Fixing a dishonesty usually means, one, first of all, admitting you were dishonest, and two, then apologizing, whether it's to a store owner or to your parents or somebody in class or a brother or sister. If you do try it, I'd love to hear from you and hear how it goes. You can send us an email at kindness101@cbsnews.com. We recently got some mail from some students in Indonesia. Kids all over the world are taking our Kindness 101 class. Mehmet, can you show them where Indonesia is on the globe?
Right there. It's that little greenish country down there.
In between India and Australia.
Yeah.
Can you believe kids are watching us there?
Asia. No, not really. That's basically on the other side of the world from us.
They did our gratitude assignment. We were supposed to find 10 things that we're grateful for. And I wanted to share some of those because their lists were very different than ours. I mean, some things were similar, but some things were very different. Tuna spaghetti. Are you grateful for tuna spaghetti?
I don't think I've ever had tuna spaghetti.
I haven't either. I'm certainly not grateful for it. Maybe if I tried it, I'd be grateful for it. But as of right now, I'm not grateful for it. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's a TV show.
Fresh Prince?
It's an old TV show. Maybe it's still playing in Jakarta. I don't really know, but they're very grateful for it there. A soft bed to sleep on. Now that's a great one. I would have never thought of it. We take that for granted, don't we? But just a nice soft place to sleep. That was a good one. And here's my favorite. This kid said, I'm grateful that I have enough. How perfect is that? That should be number one, I think, on everybody's list. We should be grateful that we have enough. So I really love those. We also got a note and video from a 6-year-old girl named Tatum, who built a gratitude noticing machine just like the one that Emmett made. Take a look at this. She actually made an advancement, Emmett. It takes pictures.
Cool.
Pretend pictures, I think. But isn't that a nice feature?
Yeah.
It takes pictures of what you're grateful for so that you can remember later. So thank you very much, Tatum, for sending us this.
Good idea to have pictures on it.
Again, you can reach us at kindness101@cbsnews.com. We also have a Facebook community for teachers who use our stories for character education in their classrooms. That's called On the Road for Educators. Teachers, please join. If you like the stories you've seen in this class, I'm always making new ones. You can find those on the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell every Friday night. And don't forget to catch our next class, which is about, where is that, Meryl? Purpose. Finding your purpose and your passion in life. Don't forget to join us, and until then, stay kind.